than 30 bags of 90 kilograms per acre, or less than 2,700 kilograms per acre. For those doing their calculations in hectares, we want to tell you that we are avoiding a scenario of 74 bags of 90 kilograms per hectare, or less than 6,660 kilograms dry maize per hectare. Currently, 30 bags per acre, as bad as it is, 70% of farmers in second and third world countries are not achieving. Activity number 1 is planning and funds allocation. Funds will vary depending on which country you are farming. It will therefore not be uniform across all the countries. For example, in Kenya, DAP goes as high as 6,600 Kenya shillings per bag of 50 kilograms. In local language, I will say gunia moja la kilo 50 la DAP kwa maduka ya pembejeo au agrobets inauzwa shilingi 6,600 za Kenya. In Tanzania is 80,000 Tanzania shillings subsidized for imported, and 75,000 Tanzania shillings if manufactured in Tanzania. In the local Swahili language, we say mbolea ya DAP ya kupanda mahindi inauzwa kwenye maduka ya pembejeo za kilimo kwa kati ya shilingi 75,000 na 80 bei ya ruzuku. Mbolea ya DAP ya kupanda mahindi inauzwa kwenye maduka ya pembejeo za kilimo kwa kati ya shilingi ya Tanzania 75,000 na 80,000 bei ya ruzuku. In Zambia, it goes as high as 1,200 kwacha, especially in Lusaka. So if you talk about other regions out of the capital city of Lusaka, then the price will be even higher. In India, fertilizer companies were selling at 1,350 rupees per 50 kilogram bag as at December 2023. These are just examples to indicate difference in prices of inputs in different countries. Therefore, start by doing your budget per acre or per hectare, whichever is convenient for you. Then multiply by number of acres or hectares available. Number 2 activity is allocation of funds. This should have been done already by this time of the year. Check your funds to ensure that all monies needed is available. if funds are not enough, it may be prudent to cut down the acreage so that you can manage comfortably. It is always better and profitable to do 2 acres and get 100 bags of 90 kilograms dry maize than do 10 acres to get 100 bags at a higher cost. In short, be smart. Activity number 3 is land preparation. This involves first plowing, second plowing, and harrowing. Here, you must not be intimidated by equipments used by other farmers. We all understand that there are large-scale farmers who must use good machinery to complete works on time and accurately. And there are also medium-scale and small-scale farmers who use ox plows, small hand-operated plows, or simple hand horse, or locally called jembes. Whatever your land size, ensure farm is prepared properly and on time. I want to remind you that before second plowing, you may need to use some herbicides to control couch grass. If couch grass is not eradicated at this stage, you may not be able to control it when maize or corn is actively growing. Activity number 4 is planting. This is the most critical stage of maize farming. If you don't do it right at this stage, consider yourself as having failed already. The level of fail depends on a number of things that you have not done right. During planting, pay attention to plant population per acre, and I want to repeat this. During planting, pay attention to plant population per acre. Plant population is determined by spacing from row to row and spacing from plant to plant within the row. Also, pay very keen attention to seed variety. You must go for long season varieties indicating yield of at least 50 bags to 60 bags per acre. Pay attention also to planting fertilizer and quantity of that fertilizer per seed. As much as we don't want to go into detail, I want you to understand that apply the right planting fertilizer, which should have high phosphorus or commonly called phosphatic fertilizers. Some fertilizer companies have developed superior fertilizer blendings which comprise unique substances, macro and micronutrients. Always feel free to consult us for further discussion on any fertilizers and amount required. If you use wrong fertilizers, it is another point of fail. Also, if you use the right fertilizer but use less, you are also failing and will never get your target yield. Phosphatic fertilizers aid the maize plants in root development, which will be used as main feeding zones for your maize. If roots system is not well developed, it will not adequately absorb nutrients and water from the soil and therefore reduce yield. Also, very important, consider planting depth. I want to repeat here, also very important during planting is consider planting depth. Normal depth is 5 centimeters deep. If planted too deep, it will reduce germination percentage. If planted too shallow, they may be eaten by birds and other animals like squirrels. Also, if planted too shallow, the seeds may be washed away by runoff or may not develop strong roots to anchor the growing maize plant. Activity number 5 is application of pre and early post-emergent herbicides. Bear in mind that this applies only to pure maize stand. Those farmers who grow maize alone. If you have intercropped maize and beans, don't use these herbicides. Activity number 6 is control of pests. As discussed in previous videos, main pests in maize is fall armyworms and maize stalk borer. Stalk borers are very easy to control with mild insecticides. Other pests are aphids and cutworms. Cutworms affect germinating seedlings by cutting their stems, while aphids come much later. Feel free to share about the presence of cutworms in your farms so we can discuss them further. Activity number 7 is top dressing. This is application of nitrogenous fertilizers when maize plants are actively growing. As discussed in previous videos, do first split at 6 weeks after sowing, that is at 42 days, and with our example or target fertilizer, we were applying 5 grams per plant. 2 weeks later, do second split of top grazing fertilizers, that is at 56 days after planting. Using our sample fertilizer, rate is 5 grams per plant. In our previous discussions, we applied 5 grams per plant, but you need to note that we used 46% nitrogen. If you use 27% or any other percentage, quantity per plant will have to increase. That there is no negotiation about it. You can also do foliar fertilizer spray. Here I want you to note that it is not compulsory to spray foliar fertilizers in maize. You need to observe your crop, and if needed, you can spray. Best time is when there are no rains, causing delay in basal fertilizer application. Also note that there are many fertilizer brands in the market. That is, many foliar fertilizer brands in the market with different ratios of N, P, and K plus micronutrients. Time of application of these foliar fertilizers depends on when it is needed. I advise that you target foliar fertilizers with the high nitrogen and potassium. If pre and early post-emergent herbicides did not work, you may need 2,4-D herbicides. This can be sprayed when the maize crop is at a height of 45 centimeters from the ground. Point of note here also is that remember that 2,4-D herbicides only controls broad-leaved weeds for 3 to 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, more broad-leaved weeds and grass weeds will have emerged. Again, I request that you subscribe if you have not. That helps you to be notified whenever we upload a new farming video. At this point, you will need to do interrow spray of a herbicide containing paraquat. Let me emphasize this point that since 2,4-D herbicides can only protect your crop up to 6 weeks, beyond 6 weeks, new broad-leaved weeds and grass weeds will have germinated. So, around this time, you will need to do interrow spray of a herbicide containing paraquat. So I hope I'm very clear. This herbicide is non-selective and will kill all weeds, that is grasses and broad leaf. Rate depends on quantity of active ingredient. Common paraquats in the market contain 200 grams per liter paraquat or more. If you use this formulation of 200 grams per liter, then per acre you need to spray 8 100 mils in 80 liters of water. Per hectare, it will add up to 2 liters in 200 liters of water. I want to emphasize that if you spray paraquat-based herbicides, you must do it in the row, that is between the rows of maize. You must not spray on top of the maize. If exposed to green leaves, they will be scorched, though the crop will recover. If sprayed on top, it will kill the whole of the maize plant and will likely not recover. And this should be the last spray on weeds in your maize field. So the last activity is harvesting and shelling. Some farmers will do it manually, others will use combine harvesters. Thank you and welcome.